The life of a simple bookshop owner changes when he meets the most famous film star in the world. Notting Hill is up next on Inside Movies. Hey guys, welcome to Inside Movies. My name is George Michail. I'm a comic book maker, and today I'm joined by novelist Andrew Buckley, the editor-in-chief of Merc Publishing, Murphy, and writer-artist GMB CHOMICHUK. Awesome. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Notting Hill. What's the good? What do we like about this one?
My go-to for this movie is I fucking love the weird, ridiculous roommate. And I know that he doesn't really have a big point in the story, but he's just hilarious. And I love a quirky roommate. That's just one of my favorite tropes in rom-coms. And they just did it so well.
I'm going to have to side with Murphy on this. My way into this movie is that quirky roommate. I'm not a big rom-com fan. I don't really like romantic comedies in general. I find them very hard to watch. But that weird gentleman in his gray underwear, gripping, strong. It cuts through 20 years of my memory. That's the part I remember strongest about the movie when I first saw it.
This was his introduction to like American cinema for the most part, because this is Rhys Ifans, who's like a famous actor now. Like he's in House of Dragons. He was in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man as the villain. Played the lizard.
Oh my god! Is he
like
the hand of the
been
king?
Around.
Is he the hand of the king?
Yes.
Is that who he is?
Yes, he's Hand of the King. And he was Spike.
I did not make that connection. Oh my god. Okay, but isn't this a British film? Like it's all everyone but Julia Roberts is British.
He's Welsh. He's from the UK. It's in the same damn island, Murphy. Geography love. England, Wales.
I know, but you said this was his breakout into American like acting, Hollywood, and all of that. But
Notting Hill is not a British movie; it's an American movie. It was financed by Americans. It just was shot in England with Hugh Grant, who was this darling at the time.
That's American as fuck.
That is American as fuck.
Oh, you guys, you're like talking about like my least favorite part of the movie. I love this movie. This is like one of my all-time favorite romantic comedies, possibly one of my favorite comedies, period. And I just find the connection between the two leads to be just so genuine. And like William Thacker, like played by Hugh Grant, he's just so charming and thoughtful and kind of bumbling and kind of tripping over himself. And you know, Julia Roberts is smart and strong and thoughtful, and they're just electric together. It's their relationship for me. It makes this movie.
Their chemistry is definitely renowned for this film, and Julia Roberts can basically do no wrong. If she's in a movie, it's probably pretty well written and pretty well directed. I'm not sure how she's managed to curate her career, but she did a pretty darn good job of it, even through the tumultuous 90s.
I would say, so watching through this was my first time seeing this movie.
What?
I know. And I love rom-coms. I don't know how this one was never on my radar. But I did not like her character, and I just, you know, she kept making these like irrational decisions, and I really didn't like her up until the very end. She gives a really genuine apology, and I like that. It really redeemed her, and it kind of like made it was like, yeah, okay, so she's making these decisions because she is so famous, and yes, she's not looking at this situation and this relationship through the lens that you know you and I would. And I'm gonna give the writers like a huge, you know, hats off to that. I thought that she was a very well written character, a flawed character. And my secondary point is that it's really rare to see a romantic comedy from the man's perspective. And I think that's one of the reasons why her decisions seemed so wild, because we weren't seeing it from her point of view. We were seeing it from his, which I think it's a nice change.
It is kind of cool. And I will pile on that Hugh Grant is like so unassumingly charming in this. And he he did go through this whole series where he broke into acting, playing this kind of goofy romantic comedy lead, and he did like I think like 5 or 6 movies. And to find out later in life that he fucking hated all those roles, he hated being typecast, he hated playing that person, he loves playing an asshole, which he does these days, but he hated all that stuff. So I mean, it's testament to his acting that he was so good at that. But the other point is Richard Curtis, who wrote this and 2 of my other favorite rom-coms, 4 Weddings and a Funeral and Love Actually. Like, the dude can write a rom-com like nobody's business. That dinner scene where she comes over and everybody is trying to figure out how to act in the presence of someone so famous, that was just so beautifully done. And yeah, I'm also just a girl standing for the boy, asking to love her. Like, all those lines were so fucking good. So I also love this movie.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I was going to say that Richard Curtis is an amazing writer. He also did About Time, which is criminally underrated.
Also awesome. Yes.
He's an amazing writer. And that line, you know, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to like me, is just like, come on. Like, I got goosebumps just thinking about it, man. This movie, I love this movie. It's so good.
George, you're such a romantic.
Yeah.
New subscribers will not know that George is so romantic, but right now, I guess they're finding out. George, what other romance movies should we watch that give you goosebumps?
We should do Love Actually at Christmas. It makes me cry every fucking time.
I was gonna say, as soon as you mentioned that he was also the writer on Love Actually, that scene of I'm just a girl, like, that's a 1-to-1 of fucking Rick from The Walking Dead pulling out the sign, silently telling her that he loves her on her doorstep. That's also a great one. I do really love Love Actually.
All right, stay tuned, fans of the channel. This Christmas we're gonna do Love Actually. Yeah, let's do it. But I like the whole cast of characters. Like, there's so many. Like, there's the friend that works at the bookstore. He's hilarious. Just the way he is a bit of an ass, and he's like tripping over himself when he's talking to Julia Roberts. There's the husband and wife, and how sweet the husband is to the wife all the time, and even though they're going through like this, you know, kind of tragedy of her not being able to walk anymore and stuff, and then there's even the banker or the banker guy, yeah, that gets fired. You know, it's just the whole cast is great. I love it.
I was really excited to see the banker guy is in Downton Abbey. And he's a very, you know, he's the lord of the house, kind of like, to see him in this role where he's just like, oh, it was such a change. And I really did enjoy him. But the other point that you said, the character in a wheelchair, I found it really refreshing that was something that they just kind of talked about. And then it wasn't something that, like, they didn't make it a big deal, but at the same time, it was a big deal for the characters, you know, and how they like use it to get into the interview. Like, well, I'm going to tell people that you wouldn't let me in here because I'm in a wheelchair.
But as an expat Brit, like, I know all these people. I've seen them in comedies growing up. So the guy who he worked for the bookstore was in this crazy cool comedy called The Thin Blue Line with Rowan Atkinson, I believe. And then his sister Honey was in The Vicar of Dibley with Dawn French, who's a famous British comedy actress. So they're all. It is a better cast than you realize it actually is, because those guys are like, they're fixtures of British comedic acting. All of them, they're amazing.
Speaking of love, and I'm sure plenty of you out there, love horror. And what is one of the best things that you can get is an origin story. George, tell us about Cover of Darkness Origins.
Yes, coming this November. Ordered now. Cover of Darkness Origins features 3 incredible short stories. We've got a vampire origin story where he's like an elf, and he's like riding a dragon, and he's got to like reach out to like Dracula for help. We've got the Bride of Frankenstein on her honeymoon with Frankenstein fighting zombies. It's nuts. And then we've got an incredible story illustrated by our very own GMB CHOMICHUK. It's ninjas versus kaiju. It's insane. You got to check it out. Ask your local comic book store to bring in Cover of Darkness Origins. All right, let's get into the bad. What do we not like about Notting Hill?
I thought the pacing was very weird.
How dare you?
I don't know exactly how to put my finger on it, but it's like we met her then they kind of liked each other, and then she was gone, and she can't, I don't know. The pacing felt like unnatural to me. It's like it felt like he saw her like 3 times before he professed his love to her, like for the finally. And much as they had really great chemistry, and I really believed, them together, I just think it wasn't fleshed out as well as it could have been.
Yes, it would be great if it was like a 12-hour like miniseries.
No, it wouldn't. The thing that's bad about Notting Hill is that it's a romantic comedy, and if they don't immediately warm your heart, if you're not in it 100% after that first half hour, the last like hour or 90 minutes of the rest of romantic is pure hell. And this one does better than most in so much as I watched it long ago and thought of it pretty fondly, but it still suffers from all of those things that all romantic comedies suffer from, is that they're as fantastic as a science fiction movie in their portrayal of love. So if you watch a sci-fi movie and you're not into sci-fi, immediately you tune out. If you're watching rom-com and you're not into how ridiculous the meet cute is or how silly the contrivance of them professing their love, you're out. So if you don't like romantic comedies, this one's a pretty good one, so you probably won't like it.
So that was more of the bad of just romantic comedies.
That's it. Not all romantic comedies are Notting Hill, but Notting Hill is a romantic comedy.
Yeah, but this one is so good. Like the meet cute isn't ridiculous. She stumbles into his bookstore, and and they talk a little bit, and
he thwarts a thief.
Yes. So for me, like my only real negative on this one is actually the thing that you guys started off this show praising, and that is Spike, the roommate. I think he's a bit problematic, and looking back at it in like 2022, it's like, so was he going to like masturbate to like pictures of nude Julia Roberts?
Yes.
A little
yes,
gross.
he was.
And
I mean, okay, I don't know if you can even call that problematic because of the time. Like, if anything, people do that more now because it's more available. Like, I don't know. I think that of all the things,
Murphy's saying he was a pioneer.
Of all the things we've seen in movies that we've watched from the 80s and 90s and past, this one didn't have anything that like really made me go like, oh, gross. Like, Spike is he's just a weirdo. And
no, but he did say, he did say that he suggested slipping her something, and then also asked if he could have a crack at her. It's slimy. It's super, super slimy. And also his romance with Will's sister, Honey. It just kind of comes out of nowhere at the end. Like, there's no build up to that. There's like, they hadn't met or had like any sort of flirtation, and then all of a sudden they're together.
The way that I saw that was that we were introduced to Spike, who was this weird, quirky, albeit maybe creepy character who is, just not, he's not like, around like the general pop as far as personalities. And then you're introduced to the sister, who's that same thing. Like, she's kind of odd. She's got those big buggy eyes, and she's just, she's talking about how she can't have that relationship, kind of how like she can't find that relationship that'll bloom. And then we're watching the main characters come together, and behind the scenes, those two have been creating something. And I think that I liked it. I think that they found these two characters that like had such good chemistry together, just as the way like their personalities are. As soon as they said, oh, we're going to get engaged, I believed it. I thought that was kind of a nice, like, oh, there's more happening behind the scenes than just these two people who are falling in love and falling out and falling in and falling out. Like, I don't know. I thought that was fun.
It also fit with their weird ass personalities, though. I think it was very true to those two weird ass quirky characters. And I'm not painting all Welsh people with the same brush, but I've known Welsh people, and Spike does fit the bill as a Welsh person. Apologies to any Welsh people who watch the show, but he's very Welsh. He's very Welsh. I'll say he's very Welsh. I'm not going to say anything else. That's all I'm saying. I don't really like Julia Roberts.
What? Yes.
I know.
Horror, shock, disbelief,
all right,
incredulity.
Everybody goes crazy over her, and I get it. I think she's a great actress. I Love Pretty Woman, I thought was It's a great movie. But she has no lips, and it irritates me.
No lips. She's got the biggest lips in the world.
Let's get into the skinny. What's our final grades for Notting Hill?
Since I'm not a fan of romantic comedies, I will give this movie one broken heart held together by a pair of gray underwear.
Good luck animating that shit. Jesus.
And I will offer no explanation other than the visual.
I'll go. I give it an A+. I love this movie. It's one of my all-time favorite romantic comedies and comedies in general. I think it's great, and I recommend everyone go out and watch it.
I will give this movie 40 paparazzi cameras out of 50. I enjoyed it. It was sweet.
I will give this 5 Rhys Ifans modeling gray underwear out of 5 because this is one of the best romantic comedies out there.
Since this is the first time we have done a real rom-com, let us know in the comments what your favorite romantic movie is so that we can force GMB CHOMICHUK to watch more of them so we can understand the art. My vote is He's Just Not That Into You. And we'll be back with at least one more rom-com, I think every month now.
Don't do this to me, Murphy.
I don't know about that.
Don't do this to me.
Okay, that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. I've been George Michail, joined by Murphy, GMB CHOMICHUK, and Andrew Buckley. Cover Darkness Origins. Ask your local comic book store to bring it in for you. Until next time, peace.